Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Matt. I'm with the National Tile Contractors Association. Thank you for joining us once again. We're going to go ahead and get started. We've got another talk going on, and all week, me and my partner Mark have been talking about safety. We've talked about engineered control devices, which help us reduce the risk and exposure of silica dust. We've talked about handles for tile. We've talked about all different sorts of things like that. But Mark, you've been a madman with a Sharpie, it looks like. Tell us a little bit about what we're talking about this afternoon.
Thanks a lot, Matt, and welcome everybody, and thanks for being here at our fifth presentation at Coverings 2024. And it is all safety all week with us at NTCA. And I just heard my new friend Brandon, when I pulled out this list, he said, "Oh man, there's a lot of words there and there's a lot of writing." And Matt, what is one of your least favorite things to talk about as a tile professional?
Safety.
Is it boring?
I'm a former installer, and man, that topic drives me nuts.
Do you like to sit down and read documents and regulations?
Paperwork and safety are two of my least favorite things, if I'm just going to be honest.
So Matt, you've been in business for yourself?
I have.
Have you had employees?
I have had employees.
Do you value are you married?
I am.
Does your wife value you, do you think, maybe?
I've been out of town a while. That might be a hard question for me to answer, actually.
You'll find out when you get home.
See if anybody changed the locks, I guess.
Hey, Matt, do you have, can you hold up your hands? How many fingers do you have? Do you have all the
10
ones that
still.
you should have?
Yeah, 10.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
great. So you've been paying attention at least a little bit.
A little bit.
Have you ever hurt yourself on a job site?
A few times, yeah.
Yeah, what happened?
I've gotten some stuff in my eye, like concrete dust or tile shards. There might have been a trip or two to the urgent care, maybe a razor blade over a finger or a thumb.
Oh yeah,
maybe.
Yep. I've had that myself. Have you ever seen any more serious problems on a job site?
Yeah, actually, I have, Mark. On a much, I don't want to kill the mood, but I've been on job sites where people walked away without all 10 fingers, and I've also been on more than one job site that somebody didn't come home from work that day.
Yeah, I've
Twice.
been on that same sort of thing, Matt.
Yeah.
I've seen that in my professional career as well. So safety is important, right? And so as part of our safety week, we wanted to include one of our demonstrations on stage here to talk about a safety plan and a safety program for your business. And if you're a sole proprietor, you need a safety plan. You need a lot of things to go on to make sure that you come home with all of your fingers and you come home alive every day. And if you're a large company, maybe you have 100 employees, it's just as equally as important when you have more persons than, say, just yourself. You have a lot of other lives to look after and care for. So what I have done here is I listed a number of items that are just routine things that happen on every tile job site. Well, maybe not every, but almost every, and certainly in every tile professional's career, they will run into all of these things. And I want you to take a little bit of a look at these. We're going to walk through some of them. They're not listed in any particular order. They're not, the red and blue and black ink doesn't categorize them. Some of them go together, but they're all just a big jumble to go along with our big jumble that is already a tile job site. Matt, can you name some things on a tile job site that maybe aren't safety related, that we have to focus on? Things like tile, quantity, layout, setting
There's all
materials.
kinds of stuff like that. Even just sometimes the basic stuffs of like maybe where is the electrical and do I have water available to me and things like that we as tile guys need. Is that what you're referring to?
You got a lot on your mind?
There's always something on my mind, right? Especially as a business owner, I'm thinking about the job site I'm on, the 2 other job sites that I got other people on. Do I have enough of this? What about that order that I placed a week ago? Did the guy at the warehouse actually place that order? We get busy.
So we get busy and we overlook the fact that we need to take a look at our surroundings and make sure that we are situationally aware. That's one of the first things I put on my list. If you look over there at the left column, right here, look, listen, and think. Take a look around, be situationally aware. What do we have going on a job site? And Matt, that should happen before the job even begins, right? Maybe do a job site visit.
Yeah, and I mean, bringing that into a practical sense, when I'm pulling into a job site, I'm looking at what other trucks are in the yard. I want to know if the electrician's there today, if the plumber's there today, is there a hole in the yard that wasn't there the day before, right? So it starts as I'm pulling in the driveway.
That's right. So when you get in, and if you've got employees, and even if it's just yourself, you'll come in, take a look around, and maybe have a situational awareness talk. What do some companies call that?
Maybe a toolbox talk?
Toolbox talk, tailgate meeting, morning meeting, whatever it is. And should you limit that to a sort of a pre-job site thing? Should you have just one meeting a week, one meeting per job? How often should you do that?
I mean, I think it's important to probably do that on a daily basis. And for me, if I'm riding with a helper, that's where it started, was on the way to the job site. We'd talk about what we were going to do that day and the things that we needed to be aware of. And then we might have another 2-minute conversation to cap it off after we see what the job site looks like.
That's right. So one of the items that Matt and I have been discussing right here is training and retraining. Having a job site meeting, having a plan, training our entire company on what that plan is, then constantly making it part of our culture, what we do every day. We're looking out for each other, we're looking out for ourselves, and not just that, we have to be concerned with other people that surround our job site. You know, somewhere up here, I have listed other trades. Other trades are people that might walk into our area. If you were here at one of our earlier programs, you saw that we talked about respirable airborne silica and how that is when we breathe it in, and if we don't exhale it, which we can't exhale it, it gets stuck, then we could get sick with silicosis. So if other people on our job site, maybe the owner, maybe the GC, maybe the designer, maybe other trades, if they breathe that dust we're creating, then it's our problem to be concerned about them. Likewise, those drywallers over there might be playing, you know, B95 as loud as they can, right? Does that ever happen?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So, and maybe not everybody can hear each other, and we're affected by the noise and the things that they're making. Maybe they're lifting drywall up high, they're on scaffolds, they might drop something. Do we need a hard hat on a job site? Do any of you see anything on here that strikes your interest in particular? Have any of you seen one of these problems on a job site? Or how? Brandon, you have?
Lifting.
Come on up here,
I think there's
Brandon.
a story here, maybe. Brandon, why don't you step up here? Everybody, this is my friend Brandon. He's a rock star installer about an hour and a half, 2 hours away from me in the central part of North Carolina. What happened, sir? Let me get you this before you tell us. And since you're a one-armed man, I'll hold this for you.
Well, I was picking up a kitchen countertop by myself, too heavy, overextended my arm, and I ended up pulling a tendon in my bicep.
You picked up an entire countertop by yourself.
That is correct.
And how big was this countertop?
Too big.
Do you maybe want to give us a preview of the result of you He-manning a countertop?
Oh my God.
So you weren't kidding when you said that you tore a tendon?
No, I was not kidding.
So Brandon, what do you see on this checklist as you read it that maybe you forgot maybe to stop and be a little situational aware maybe, or what are you pointing at right there?
Situational awareness.
That's it. And yeah, I don't think that you, I don't see it up there, but maybe get help when needed. I think you have heavy lifting up there too. Lifting, there it is. Now I believe that you're a strong guy, but maybe getting some help next time. Thank you for letting us pick on you a little bit there, Brandon.
Brandon, thanks for sharing that with us. Now, I mean, injuries happen. I feel invincible, and I'm not a young guy like Brandon, you know, but I still feel invincible. I can get out there, I can lift that countertop, I can do all these things. I get busy. Am I wearing, my glasses are hanging down here or they're up here and I'm angle grinding? Man, it's really hard to remember to do all of these things. Let's pick out some of these things. Let's just take a look. Traffic control. What do I mean by that? That's actually a very important thing. A larger job site maybe. One of the items I have up here are forklifts. You start zooming around, there's forklifts going here and there. You're on a large job site working in a hotel, right? Maybe it's a new construction hotel. There's pickups running around, deliveries being made, things unloaded, people moving from point A to point B. You've got all the other trades going on. Wow, there's a lot of situational control and traffic awareness to be alert.
Mark, those couple things that you just said kind of reminded me. As NTCA, we're traveling the whole country and we're doing different trainings, about 300 of them this year.
Right.
And a lot of our trainings take place in warehouses where there are those busy traffics, and maybe we have 20, 30 people that we're working with. And that's something you said, training and retraining. We have to reiterate in the morning, hey, make sure you're walking this path to get to the bathroom. Make sure you don't play chicken with the forklift. Be aware of your surroundings, right? So working, even doing the training that we're doing, we got to practice some of this stuff.
Every time one of our NTCA trainers shows up at a host location like a warehouse or a distributor, we get a safety briefing, wear a vest, there's forklifts, it's an active situation. Here's where all of these things are, no injuries. You know, let's take a look at another one, electricity. We work with tools that have electricity. Matt had a couple of devices. We can't find them right now. It's a ground fault circuit interrupter. We would have had them up here. Why do we need those, Matt? What do they do?
Well, they keep us safe from electrical shock.
Sure.
And so if we are wiping a backsplash down and maybe that wet sponge gets a little too, you're laughing because I know you've been shocked, right? And we get just a little bit too close. Now it's still a good zap, but it keeps us from being knocked down on our butt, right? So that's part of what a GFCI will do.
And it's because we work with water also, right? So we have water tools that contain the dust so it's not blowing around, and those cords are laying in water, and if those cords are frayed or they get into the outlet, bammo! We got to have a circuit breaker, a ground fault circuit interrupter, and that's not just to protect our equipment, it's to protect us. Let's pick on another one here. How about, I like this one. Room to work. You know, even if,
yeah, that's
right?
Bill knew exactly what that one was about.
Yeah, I mean, Bill, you've been in the tile industry a long time, right? Would you mind telling us, do you have a story about room to work? Bring Bill the microphone.
Every show I go to, somebody wants to give me or sell me new tools that are going to make my life easier and make the job go faster. Now, I get into a small kitchen or something like that, and by the time I get to the back end of it, I got no room for all these tools. In fact, 90% of the time, I'll go around with my cutter and I'll cut everything in just so I can get the cutter out of the way as well. I've said more times than I can count. I don't care if you're doing a 50 square foot floor or a 50,000 square foot floor. When you get down to the end, that floor gets mighty small.
That's right.
You're exactly right.
Bill, hang on to that microphone because I got a couple other things that you just mentioned. One of the things that Bill just talked about is, I'm going to find it here. I'll point it out. I'm going to find it in my list right there, housekeeping. Right? That's what Bill just said. He's got all of this stuff. He's got a plan, all of these things on his mind. But I know that, I mean, you're an extreme professional. You're constantly looking at your job site, keeping it squared away, right? And that's housekeeping to keep yourself safe.
Yep.
And room to move around. Does that take a lot of time, Bill?
Actually, no, it saves a lot of time. Because if you're constantly moving everything back with you, and you've got scrap tile laying over here, bucket of water here, cutter there, box of tile over here. You're moving each one of those items back as you're doing the floor. It's wasting a whole lot of time. If you're organized, just bring it back. Have your tile on a cart on wheels. Same thing with your water and thin set. Little things like that make a big difference.
Bill, you mentioned another thing, and you picked on several things here, and I'm going to find it. I'll find it in just a second. The thing that Bill mentioned, I know I have it up here, right there. New tools and equipment. People are always giving you new tools. You're bringing them onto the job site. When you get a new tool, how do you work with that new tool? Takes you a while to figure it out, maybe?
Somewhat, yeah. Yeah, it takes a little bit to get comfortable with it.
Right.
But yeah, if I can't get comfortable with it within an hour or two, it goes back out in the truck. I was doing fine before I got it. I'll do fine afterward.
Thanks, Bill. Do any of you ever work with high-speed tools, power tools, blades that zip around? All of you do. Matt, there's, I'm sorry, I can't remember your name. Yeah, Hunter. Hunter, could you give the microphone to Hunter? And Hunter, what kind of high-speed power tools do you work with?
Well, I'm an estimator, so
Yeah,
That
I know
pen
you are.
moves really fast.
but on your job sites, what sort
Your
of
guys.
high-speed power tools do you see?
I mean grinders, drills, saws. I mean, all the above.
What kind of hazards are on the job sites that you estimate for? What do you see as hazards out there with them?
Yeah, I mean, you could have a cluttered job site. Just makes things difficult to work in. Lifts and stuff run around. I mean, on like bigger projects. Yeah, and overhead work that's going on above you. There's, always fear something come down on top of you, or.
Okay.
Yeah. The one power tool, Mark, that kind of jumps out to me that rides around in my van is a jam saw, and it's got a wood blade that spins at 4,000 RPMs, and I'm down on my hands right next to that blade that's spinning that fast. That's probably one of the most dangerous tools on my truck.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Thanks, Hunter. Matt, I know you said you had to go get some stitches. That
Yes.
was from Sharp Things, right?
Yes.
Does anybody know of any other sharp things we might have on a tile job site? Dave? What kind of sharp things are out there? Give Dave the microphone. I bet you he can think of a few sharp things on a tile job site.
Cut tile.
Oh, turn it on.
Test. Cut tile would be one.
Cut
Broken
tile.
Broken tile.
Obviously razor blades, scraper blades, stuff of that nature. Power saws, anything with a blade on it, like Matt was referring to. I'd go one step further and say probably the most dangerous tool I ever had was actually a toe kick saw, not the undercut saw.
That's a danger, yeah.
With a 3-inch blade that has no safety on it. Yeah, I mean, you could have screws or nails or something laying on the floor that you might kneel or put your hand on, sharp tools, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's all I
great.
can think of off the top of my head.
Great point. I can tell you, screws or nails on the floor, when you have something like this on, that screw does not go driving into your kneecap. Now, this will save your knee, but it'll also save you from that screw or nail or whatever, right?
Mark, I see one down here that this last week is kind of resonating with me. Vehicle operation. There might be a small story about me being on the side of Interstate 85 with a flat tire on the way here. I had a plan. I had a blowout on the way here, I'll be honest with everybody, right? And so I had to navigate running 65 miles an hour and getting over 2 lanes of traffic and finding a safe place to stop. And that's part of what we're talking about today.
That is exactly right. Situational awareness, we discussed that on the phone. Matt called me because we have an emergency contact system. It's up here somewhere. As soon as that happened, my phone rang. It was Matt. Mark, I got a problem. First thing we discussed was, are you safe? Can you get safe? What do we do to make sure that you're safe? From there, we started creating a plan of action and took care of it to make sure he was safe, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So there was something else that I saw up here.
Chris has one that's
Chris,
not up there. I'm kind of curious because that's quite the list. So
Yes, I have one that's not up there. Coming from Arizona, heat.
Heat.
The weather conditions. We have to really prepare for the heat.
How do you prepare for heat?
We do a couple of different things depending on, where they're actually working. We have a lot of water on site. We make sure that they have cool water to put cloths in so that they can put them around their neck. Maybe they're wearing a hat, they're wearing sunscreen protection on their arms, all those kinds of things.
I mean, what sort of temperatures?
Shade.
What sort of shade? What sort of temperatures are you talking about?
Up to 122.
122, fry an egg on the sidewalk. Yeah. Have you ever had anybody pass out from heat?
Not pass out.
Okay, that's good.
But take a break.
Take a break.
Take a break. Yeah, they take
Good.
breaks. Yeah.
So you haven't had anybody pass out because you have a plan.
Yes, and we also say that they can go turn on, the AC in the cab of the truck if there's no other like rescue place, or respite type location. Yeah. So, but we do a lot of those temporary. I don't call them tents, but they're the four-legged canopy.
Yep. Heat, absolutely. I come from an environment where it's cold. 20, 30, 40 below, you wet hand, you touch a doorknob, you lose half your skin coming off. It's crazy. We have to think about that. So, what's that, Bill? That's right, your wet saw outside. Slips, trips, falls. So, all of these things, the last thing I want to talk about here is we can't remember this all the time. This is out of one of our NTCA members' safety plan. This is their table of contents, right? So you can see I checked off some things and it reminded me to put some of those items up here. This actually is one of our NTCA members' safety plans. And it's not all that gigantic. It's this thick when printed, but it's very comprehensive for the type of work they do. And I know that they have a safety officer, they have a competent person, they do routine training, initial training, and they do job site safety meetings all the time and for every job site. Another thing that they have, and this is really cool, this comes out of their safety plan, and this is a key element. This is a checklist. So they'll go in and they'll check off all of these items for the start of every job site and to make sure that they're good to go. And I wonder if I could interrupt Jason there. Jason, do you have any specific safety things that you'd like to share with us that we haven't talked about yet? Or what's important for your company?
Well, everybody coming home at the end of the day is the most important.
Number one,
There you go.
Anything that can make that happen, we're going to want to make that happen. So we're on a lot of big job sites, and a lot of the general contractors mandate a lot of things to us, but a lot of them are also good practices. Lots of daily safety hazard analysis sheets, and a lot of the things that they're doing are exactly what you got listed on the board here. If you get used to doing those every day and you're questioning them every day, then it doesn't become as painful as you were talking about. You know what I mean? It just becomes something that you do to start your day. So I would say getting into the groove of it to make it happen every day, is a good thing.
Jason, you just mentioned the exact note that I wanted to end on. Ultimately, what Jason talks about his company is the very bottom thing I put down here. You create a safe culture, right? So it's part of who you are and what you do, and you're always having that situational awareness. So that's extremely important. Yep. Matt, do you have anything else to add?
I don't have anything else on this. I would like to, one, invite everybody to come back to booth 7914, and we'd love to meet you and shake your hand, spend a little bit of time with you, and appreciate everybody's time and hanging out with us.
Thanks to all of you. Thank you.
And be safe.
Be safe out there.